In conclusion, the goal of the testing by the winds, to which every true believer must submit, is actually quite easy to understand. The Lord is seeking to transform us through the renewing of our mind, so that we would have good common sense in every situation we face. I didn't say that. The Apostle Paul did. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, my standardized translation. Therefore I implore you, brothers, via the compassion of the living God, to present your bodies as a living holy sacrifice, well-pleasing to the living God, your logical priestly service. And do not be shaped by this current age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you approve of what the will of the living God is, which is good and well-pleasing and complete. For I say to everyone who is among you, via the favor that was given to me, to not have a more high-minded mindset than the mindset that one has to have, but to have a mindset so as to have good common sense, to each one as much as the living God has divided out a measure of belief. The objective the Lord is seeking to achieve in each of us through testing is a pure heart, that is, a clean mind. The reason for that is, every sin begins in the heart, the mind. I didn't say that. The Lord did. Matthew chapter 15, verses 16 through 20, my standardized translation. So he said, are you even now also lacking insight? Do you not understand that everything that goes into the mouth makes room in the belly and is cast out into a toilet? But the things that come out of the mouth come out of the heart, and those things contaminate the man. For nasty speculations come out of the heart, murders, adulteries, sexual promiscuities, stealing, false testimony, false religious claims. These things is the things that contaminate the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not contaminate the man. The sins that the Lord mentions in that passage all begin with the winds working their way through the progression that I showed you. The person who commits sin does so because he believed a suggestion that he wanted something, or felt a certain way. Unbelievers have no way to resist those winds, but the true believer has been freed from their control, so that he may become the person God is seeking to create within him. But the success of that creation process depends on each one allowing the Lord to work, just as Paul says, Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 19, my standardized translation. For this reason, I bend my knees to the Father, from whom every lineage in the heavens and on earth is going to be given a name, so that he would grant you to become strong in the man inside you, via his Spirit, in accordance with the wealth of the glory of his supernatural power, so that the Anointed One would, via your belief, dwell in the hearts of you, who have been rooted and founded by love, so that you would be more able to grasp, along with all the holy ones, what is its breadth, and length, and height, and depth, and also so that you would know the extraordinary love of the knowledge of the Anointed One, so that you would be filled up to all the fullness of the living God. The wind within true believers is seeking to create individuals who have both clean minds and consciences. Those who submit to that creation process will be exactly the opposite of those who claim to know God, but are dominated by the winds. Titus chapter 1, verses 15 through 16, my standardized translation. Everything is clean to those who are clean, but to those who are defiled and unbelieving, nothing is clean, but both their mind and conscience has been defiled. They acknowledge that they know God, but those who are disgusting, and disobedient, and rejected for every good work, deny him by their works. Now that we are at the end of the age, you can expect even greater evidence that the Lord has handed this generation over to winds, so that they readily do the things the winds suggest they do. Unbelievers know better. but they find it impossible to do better. Romans chapter 1, verses 28 through 32, my standardized translation. And just as they did not approve of the living God, to have him in full knowledge, the living God handed them over to a rejected mind, to do the things that are not right, after being completely filled with all immorality, evil intention, selfishness, awfulness, full of envy, murder, conflict, chicanery, awful morals. They are gossip-mongers, those who disparage, God-haters, proud, arrogant braggarts, contrivers of awful things, disobedient to parents, lacking insight, treacherous, without natural affection, unmerciful, those who, after realizing the requirement of the living God, that those who are involved in such things are worthy of death, not only do them, but are also delighted with those who are involved in them. The Apostle Paul knew the characteristics of the final generation would be precisely what they are shaping up to be. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, my standardized translation. But know this, that in the last days troubled times will be current. For men will be arrogant, narcissistic, greedy, braggarts making false religious claims, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without natural affection, implacable false accusers lacking self-control, cruel, not loving what is good, rash betrayers who are enshrouded in a fog, more pleasure-loving than God-loving, those who have an outward form of godliness, but have denied its supernatural power. Steer clear of these individuals also. For some of these men are those who slip into houses and make little women prisoners of war, women who are heaped up with sins, being led away by various selfish desires, always learning and never, not once, able to come to full knowledge of the truth. If you are an heir of the promise, and intend to inherit what was promised, you are going to have to stand up and fight against the winds, just as Paul admonished Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 9 through 12, my standardized translation. But those who are determined to become wealthy, fall into testing, and a snare, and a lot of senseless and hurtful selfish desires, that cause men to sink into devastation and destruction. For greed is a root of everything that is awful, by which some who aspire to wealth have been led completely astray from our belief, and have impaled themselves with a lot of great sorrows. So you flee from these things, O man of God, and then pursue a declaration of not guilty, godliness, belief, love, perseverance, and gentle affection. Fight in the exceptionally good conflict for our belief. Apprehend the eternal life into which you were invited, and make the exceptionally good acknowledgement before many witnesses.